In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a Solarium masternode with a Linux masternode running on a VPS and a Windows cold wallet. And what they mean by cold wallet is the Windows wallet does not have to be on and connected all the time. The Linux wallet is going to be on and running all the time. It's going to be running the masternode daemon. So it's sort of two wallets. You have a wallet on a Linux VPS, which is a virtual private server, and then you have a wallet on your Windows machine. And the coins will be stored on the Windows wallet, so on your local machine, and the masternode daemon will be running on the Linux VPS server. What that allows you to do is have the Linux VPS server running all the time, because you're renting a server in the cloud, and you don't have to worry about your machine turning on or off or anything like that. The Linux machine will be running 24/7, and the masternode will be running 24/7. The Windows wallet is where coins will actually be stored, so if someone hacks onto your VPS, your Linux VPS, they can't get to your coins. They can stop your masternode from running, but they can't get to your coins. So it's really the best setup for safety. And the Windows wallet, and they consider it a cold wallet because it does not have to be connected to the internet all the time. You only need to connect to it if you want to view the rewards you've gotten, or if you want to be staking those rewards. So if you are going to be staking the rewards, you do have to have that Windows wallet running all the time. But if it goes down and you lose power for a day or something like that, you only lose the staking rewards. You won't be losing your masternode rewards. So that is really what the terminology means when we say a Linux VPS with a Windows cold wallet. Cold just refers to that it doesn't have to be connected to the internet the entire time. The first step here is to install the Windows wallet. And to install the Windows wallet, you're going to want to go to the Solarium GitHub site. And I'm going to have these links down in the comments section. So here is the GitHub link. Just open your browser, go to that location, and you'll see here that it's saying that you want to view the raw file. You can't view raw. What you want to do is just download this. This is the wallet in a zip file, so you just want to hit download. And it's asking me where do I want to save it. I'm just going to save this onto the desktop, just because I can get to it easier. You can save this wherever you want. Once this is completed, we can minimize this, and now we have our zip file with our wallet in it, and we're going to need to extract this. And when you extract this, you're basically installing the wallet on your computer. These wallets are just plain executables, so there really is no installation process in the normal sense that you're used to. What you want to do though is extract this to a permanent location, and that's what you're going to be doing to install this wallet. So what you do is you just say extract all, and then you choose a location. I'm not going to store it here on the desktop, because if I ever go and remove something off my desktop, then I'm going to remove my wallet. So I'm going to install it with the rest of the programs on my computer. That way just things are consistent. So I'm going to hit a browse, and then go to this PC, C drive, program files. So I'm going to install it in the program files folder. And I'm going to create its own little folder and just call it Solarium. And I'm going to leave this box checked, that way it opens up this folder as soon as it's extracted it. And now what I can do is I can right click this and say send to desktop, and that creates a shortcut on my desktop. Now if I ever want to run the wallet, I can just click this shortcut. So I can put this shortcut wherever I want. I can leave it here on the desktop. I can put it here in my Windows menu along with the, where normally your programs go. It's up to you. I'm going to do one extra step here, which you probably don't need to do. I only need to do this on this server because this server is ultra secure. But if you try to run your wallet and nothing happens and it doesn't actually run anything, it's possible that your operating system is blocking it. So if you right click it, down here there's a little checkbox and you just want to say unblock. You probably do not need to do that. I only need to do it on this server because it's in sort of an ultra secure mode. So now that I've done that, I have my wallet installed, in a sense, on this computer, and what I want to do is just run it. And the first time you run it, it's going to ask you a question about where do you want to install the data directory. I would leave this as default. I would not choose a custom location unless you know what you're doing. And the only reason I say to leave it as default, if you're not really comfortable moving it to a custom place, is if someone tries to help you with your installation or anything with your wallet, if you move it to a different data directory, then they may not be able to help you as easily as if it's in the default location. So we're going to leave it as default. Hit OK. And now the wallet is starting up. And the first time it starts up, it's going to come down here and it's going to download the entire blockchain for the coin. And if you hover over this, it'll sort of tell you the progress of that download. And we can see right now it says it's processed 0 blocks of the history. So what it's going to do is just sit here and try to connect to different servers out there to download the blockchain. So what you want to do is just kind of give it a minute to see if it can connect to anything. If it sits here and it continues to stay at processed 0 blocks, what you can do is go into Tools, Debug Console, Information, and then here you can see how many connections it has. Right now you can see there's 0 connections to the nodes out there on the network, and it has downloaded 0 blocks. So basically this wallet has not synchronized at all. So what we want to do is just give it a minute. Let's see if it starts to synchronize. If it doesn't, what I can do is I can show you how to add some nodes in there manually to tell it where the other computers out on the network are. So I'm just going to give this a second and see if it actually starts to kick in and start downloading. So it does not appear that this is downloading the blockchain or making any connections. So what we can do is something called adding nodes to our configuration file, and that will allow our wallet to know where some connections are, some other computers out there that have the blockchain on it. So what you want to do is you want to close this Tools window, go into Tools, Open Wallet Configuration File, and in this file what you're going to want to put is some node information from down in the comments. I'm going to have a section here that says Add Nodes. There may be another section that looks similar to this in the comments, but you want just this one that has just the Add Nodes. So if you copy those add nodes and then paste them into here, do a save, exit, and what you want to do is just restart this wallet. So go to exit, give it a minute to close down. Whenever you see this, it means it's doing some cleanup activities. Just let it finish up. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to shut the computer down. You don't want to restart the wallet while it's doing this. It's doing a little bit of cleanup. Sometimes this takes longer than other times, so let's just wait a minute and let it finish what it's doing. Alright, now that it's closed, we can open the wallet back up, and this time it's going to read that configuration file, and it should start to connect. And you can see it's already started connecting, and it's processed 121 blocks so far. So what you can do is do another quick check, go into Tools, Debug, come back here to Information. You can see now that it's got 6 connections, which is pretty good. It's going to keep connecting to more, and it is downloading blocks. As long as this number here, current number of blocks, is increasing, it is continuing to sync with the blockchain. So as long as this doesn't get stuck for a long time, then you know it's making it's progressing to downloading that blockchain. So you just want to just let it keep going. And what we can do while it's doing that is we can kind of move on to the next step, which is creating a couple addresses in our wallet. So you go to File, Receiving Addresses, and you're going to see there's already one address here, and it's just sort of the first address you get when you install a wallet. It has no label. So we're going to use this address for collecting coins that we purchase from the exchanges, or from mining, if we're going to be mining coins. So what you want to do is you want to edit this label, and this label is just a friendly name you're going to give this address. No one else can see this label. You're the only one that can see it. It only exists in your wallet here. No one else knows what that is. So I'm just going to call it collecting. You can call it whatever you want. If you want to be mining to a certain address, you can make a separate address for each mining rig, or if you're purchasing from different exchanges, you can make a separate address for each exchange. It's really up to you, but for simplicity's sake right now, I'm just going to call it collecting. And this is where I'm going to collect all my coins from the different exchanges that I purchase before I make my masternode. And I'm going to create one more address in here, so I'm going to do a new, and this is going to be my masternode collateral address. So I'm going to call it MN1. And once we have enough coins that we purchased from exchanges, then we're going to send our coins to that masternode address. We don't want to do that yet because we want to send an exact amount of coins to this masternode collateral address, and sometimes that's a little bit tricky depending on the exchange. So to make it simple, I'm just going to collect coins that I purchased from exchanges on this collecting address, and then when we're ready in a later step, you'll see what we do with this second address. So now we've got our two addresses. We can close this out. And what we can do now is we can encrypt this wallet. And encrypting it really just puts a password on your wallet file. That way if somebody ever gets access to your wallet file, they can't get into your coins. They can't use your wallet file to load up your coins. It also protects your wallet. If you put a password on it, you can lock your wallet up. And what that'll do is make it so if anyone comes here while your computer's running and sees that they have a wallet up, if they wanted to jump on here and try to send your coins somewhere, they wouldn't be able to send them unless they could unlock that wallet and use your password to unlock it. So encrypting it is a little bit different than locking it. Encrypting it just puts a password on your wallet, and locking and unlocking is what you do using that password. So you can lock it whenever you want, but to unlock it you need to use the password you used when you encrypted the wallet. So encryption is really just adding a password to your wallet. Locking and unlocking is what you do to force someone to use that password to unlock it. So what you want to do is go to Settings, Encrypt Wallet, and what you're going to want to do here is put a good password. I'm going to put something very simple. You don't really want to use something simple. You want to use a good password. And you want to make sure you remember this password. If you ever forget this password, you're not going to be able to decrypt your wallet and get access to your coins. So make sure you know what this password is before you really move on to start sending coins to this wallet. So I got my passphrase, hit OK, and it's saying, warning, that if you lose this, you will lose all your coins. And I understand that. Hit yes. And now it's saying to finish up, I want to do a restart. Just hit OK. It'll close down. Wait till it finishes closing. Once that's done, then you can open the wallet back up. Now that wallet is back up, you can see this icon down here has turned into a lock. And if you hover over it, it will tell you that the wallet is encrypted and locked. And encrypted just means you have a password on it, like I said. And locked means you have it locked, and the only way to unlock it is to use that password. So let's just go through and do a quick unlock just to see how you do it. You go to Settings, Unlock Wallet. And right now we want to unlock the wallet fully, so we don't want to check this box. But in the future, when you are staking your coins, you want to leave your wallet locked except for staking. And what that does is it protects your wallet from someone jumping on here and sending your coins out, but it allows the staking functions to work. So we don't want to do that right now. Right now we want to unlock it fully, so leave that unchecked. Put your password in. And now you can see that it is unlocked. It's still encrypted, that means it has a password, but it's unlocked at this time. And this is still continuing to synchronize. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit back and relax and let this finish before we move on to the next step. So I'm going to fast forward this video so you don't have to wait too long, but we'll just sit back and watch. Alright, so it looks like this wallet has finished synchronizing. This little checkmark thing here is turned green. If you hover over it, it says synchronization has finished and it's up to date. As soon as you see this message, you know this wallet is good, and this is a good wallet now that you can start sending coins to it. You don't want to send any coins to any address, even though we made those addresses, until you know that this wallet can synchronize up. Because if you send any coins to this address and you can't synchronize, you're going to think your coins never made it, because as long as you send your coins somewhere later in the blockchain, if it can't download those later blocks in the blockchain, it's never going to see those coins. So you're going to be scared, and you won't be able to get access to those coins until you find a wallet that does have the entire blockchain. So don't send any coins until that you can confirm that this wallet has synchronized and it's able to go and say synchronization finished, up to date. This wallet is good. And one last thing we want to do before we start sending coins to this wallet is we want to make a backup of this wallet. So if you go to File, Backup Wallet, I'm going to just create this backup on the desktop. And what I like to do is give it the coin name and then a quick date. And then I put wallet.dat. That way I know this is a wallet.dat file. If you just call all of your backups wallet.dat, you're not going to know what coin they are. And if you're making multiple backups, you won't know what date it is. So I just put the coin name, date, wallet.dat, save it out here on the desktop. And you can see it's created this wallet.dat file. So what you want to do is you want to take this wallet.dat and store it somewhere off of this computer. If you save all of your backups on the same computer that your wallet's on, if you lose access to that computer, the computer crashes, you're going to lose your original wallet and you're going to lose all your backups. So you want to make a backup, or you want to take this backup off of this computer. And what I like to do is I put it on a thumb drive, and then I throw that thumb drive in a safe. And you don't want to be storing the backups with your password. So you saved your password when you encrypted this wallet. You don't want to write that password on a piece of paper and put it in your safe with your wallet.dat backups, because then someone can just steal your piece of paper and your thumb drive, and then they can get access to your coins. So you want to save that password and the actual wallet.dat file in different locations. I throw all my thumb drives in my safe, and I put all my passwords in a different safe somewhere else. So now we have the backup, and we have our wallets encrypted. Everything looks good to go. What we can do is now we can start collecting some coins. And by collecting coins, I mean purchasing coins out on the exchanges or trading with your friends, however you get your coins. But what you want to do is, if you go out to an exchange and you purchase some coins and you want to withdraw them from the exchange and deposit them to this wallet, move them to the wallet for your use, what you want to do is on the exchange you're going to need an address to send them to. And that's one of the addresses we created earlier. So if you go to File, Receiving Addresses, you can see this collecting address is where we will be collecting all the coins in our wallet until we're ready to create our masternode. So if you're on an exchange and you purchase some coins and you want to send them here to your wallet, you would just right click this collecting address or whatever you're calling it and just say copy address, and then on the exchange you would withdraw your coins to this address. And if you're going to do that from an exchange, you want to make sure and you purchase a little bit more than the collateral required for this coin. The collateral required is 10,000 coins. You're going to want to probably purchase 10,001 coins. And the reason for that is because once you get all the coins in your collecting address here, you're going to need to make a collateral transaction. And you'll see that in the next steps. But when you make that transaction, you're going to need to pay a transaction fee. So if you only purchase 10,000 coins on an exchange and you try to send those 10,000 coins to this wallet, you're going to pay a transaction fee from the exchange, and then when they get to this wallet they're not going to be 10,000 anymore. And then if you try to transfer those less than 10,000 to your masternode collateral, you're going to pay another transaction fee. The transaction fees are tiny. They're like 0.001 or 0.0001, I'm not sure, but it's a very small amount. But what you want to do is on the exchange you want to purchase, say, 10,001 coins, and then send those 10,001 coins here to your collecting, or collect 10,001 coins, or however many, as long as it's more than 10,000. It could be 10,000 and a half a coin, something like that. But you just want a little bit more than 10,000. That way you can transfer these coins between addresses and pay that transaction fee. So that's what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to copy this address. I'm going to go on to my exchange and then send the coins here, and we'll be back in a minute. Alright, and you can see now that I have sent myself 10,001 coins to my collecting address. And I got those out on the exchange, and I got that one extra coin just to make things easier. So now that I have those here in my wallet, I can take a look and look at my transactions tab. And this is where you see all your transactions that occur in your wallet. And you can see the only one so far I've done is received on this address, the collecting, the 10,001 coins. That just kind of lets you know what's going on in your wallet. You can see all the transactions that have occurred. But what I want to do now is create a collateral transaction. And what that is where you send yourself, or you send to a certain address, a collateral address, you send 10,000 coins exactly in one single transaction. And what that does is it's a proof to the network that you have 10,000 coins on an address, and that will allow you to use that transaction and those coins on that address to lock into a masternode. And it needs to be exactly 10,000 coins, no more, no less, and it needs to be in one single transaction, because the transaction ID is the actual proof that you're going to use to prove to the network. So to create this collateral transaction, what you want to do is you want to send to your collateral address the 10,000 coins. So to get my collateral address, that was the address we created earlier. So if we go to File, Receiving Addresses, this is the one we called MN1. So if you right-click and copy that address and close this, and go to the Send tab, you're going to want to pay yourself 10,000 coins exactly. So this looks good. I'm going to pay my collateral address exactly 10,000 coins. I'm going to hit send. It's going to say, are you sure you want to do this? It's going to subtract a small transaction fee. This is what we were talking about earlier. And it's going to subtract this transaction fee from my balance. This is my balance in my wallet, which is all of my addresses added together. If I had sent, say, 10,000 exact from the exchange, and I only had 10,000 in my balance, when I tried to do this transaction, it's going to subtract some coins from that. So when it gets to my collateral address, it's not going to be 10,000 coins exactly anymore. It's going to be 9,999.9999998, whatever. So that's why it was important to send yourself just a little bit of extra coins so you can do these transactions. But this transaction looks good. I'm going to hit yes. And then we can come in here and look on our Transactions tab. And you can see now there's a new transaction that shows up. And it says payment to yourself, address not available, not applicable. And then you see here the amount. It looks kind of funky. But the reason this amount does not show the 10,000 is because you sent these coins between addresses in your wallet. The coins did not actually leave your wallet. This amount value here is displaying coins that left or entered your wallet. It doesn't show you the coins moving around inside your wallet. But if you want to see your transaction details, if you double click that, you can see this was the transaction, 10,000 coins. And here's the transaction ID and all this information. And that's all you really need to know, is you've sent yourself this 10,000 coins, and if you hover over it, it tells you how many confirmations you have. To use this collateral transaction as a masternode collateral, you need to wait until there's 16 confirmations on this transaction. So we will need to wait until this gets up to 16 confirmations, but we don't need to wait right here. We can wait as we can move on to the next step while we're waiting. So we don't have to sit here and wait for that 16. So what we're going to do is just move on to the next step. We're going to install a program called Putty. Putty is the program we're going to use to communicate with our VPS and set it up. So what you'll want to do is go to this website, putty.org, and we're going to download the application. Click this download Putty here. And then I'm running a Windows 64-bit, so I'm going to choose that. And I'm just going to hit the run. And then I'm going to step through this installation. Just everything is default is what we want. Don't need to use README. And just hit finish. So now we have Putty installed. And before we connect to our VPS, we're going to want to create an RSA key. And the RSA key will be used to communicate with our VPS server in a secure way. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to create a public and private key pair for your computer to connect to your VPS. And you're going to set it up so the only person that can connect to that VPS is somebody with the private key. So that way you can protect your VPS from anyone connecting to it. And the only person that can connect to it is you, because you should be the only person with that private key. So to create this RSA key, we just go to the Putty installation folder, And we want to choose this program that Putty installed called Putty Gen. And this is how you generate RSA keys. So the first step is to click Generate, and then you move your mouse around until this status bar here is filled up. You're creating just random movements of your mouse. That way the key that's created is unique to your situation. Alright, so now we have this RSA key. This is the public key we will use, and we need to save this public key and our private key into a location. So I'm going to save them here on the desktop. But before I save them, I'm going to do an extra level of security, and I'm going to put a passphrase onto my private key. That way if anyone gets access to my private key, they still can't get onto my VPS unless they know my password. So I'm going to create a very simple password, but you don't want to create a simple one. You want to create a complex one, and you're going to also want to remember that, because that will be the only way you can connect to your VPS. The one good thing about this setup is the VPS doesn't actually contain any coins in this setup. The VPS is just running the masternode. So if you lose access to this private key or this password on your private key, it's not the end of the world. You'll have to recreate your masternode on the VPS, but you won't lose your coins. Your coins are only going to be located in your local Windows wallet. So now I got a passphrase here. I'm going to save off this public key. Just save it onto the desktop. And I'm just going to give it a super simple name. What you'll want to do is create a real name with the coin name in it, and my suggestion is you create one of these RSA keys for every coin in every VPS instance. So say if you had 3 masternodes of the same coin, you're going to want to label each of these keys differently and create a separate key for each masternode instance. And that way if somebody does get access to one of your keys or somehow hacks into it, not all of your masternodes are at risk. So I suggest you create a separate one for each coin and masternode. So I'm just going to create it pub key, or call it pub key, but you can call it something with the coin name and maybe a date, whichever you want. So now we have the public key. Now we're going to save the private key. Just do the same thing onto the desktop. I'm just going to call it private key. So now we have the public and the private key, and this is saved off so we can get access to it later. You'll want to store these in a permanent location also, not here on the desktop, so save them somewhere where you remember where they're at, because you will need them when we set up Putty later, or you'll at least need the private key. So I'm going to leave this Putty Gen window open, because we will use this in a minute when we connect to our VPS. You don't have to use it, but I like to use it because I have this key already set up. This is a key I'm going to enter when we get to that VPS setup step. So right now, I'm just going to move on to the next step, and we're going to leave this here. Now what we can do is start up our VPS, our Linux VPS. So what the service I use for my VPS machines is called Vultr. So down in the comments, you're going to see a link here that says vultr.com. If you want to use this is a referral link. If you want to use my referral link, copy this whole thing. If you just want to set up an account and not use my referral or use someone else's referral, then just use their referral, or just highlight the vultr.com part and skip the referral section. But I already have an account, so I can just go there and log into my account there. The first time you log into the Vultr system, you're going to want to set up a billing. So you're going to go to the billing tab, you're going to set up a credit card, and then you're going to have to prepay for these servers. So you're going to have to say, add say $10 or something to your Vultr account. And then as you're using servers, it subtracts dollars from that prepaid account. So set up a billing, put $10 on there, and then these servers that we're going to run are only $5 a month, so that will give you at least 2 months to see if you like this service. Or if you don't want to use Vultr, you can use whatever service you want, and these instructions are basically the same. So once you've set up the billing, what you want to do is you want to create your SSH key, and that is the RSA key that we created in the earlier step. So if you click on SSH keys, you're going to say add an SSH key, and here You can add the name, and the way I like to do it is I put the coin name and then a masternode number. In case I start creating more masternodes, I will create a separate key for each of my masternodes. So this is going to be the name of my key, and you want to copy this whole piece here and paste it in here. And if you did that right, when you hit add SSH key, it will say key added. So the next step you can do is go to this plus to deploy a new server. Now that we have this SSH key set up, we're going to deploy a server, and we're going to link that server to that key, and you'll see that. So when you come here to deploy a new server, you choose your continent, and then you choose a location that's closest to you. I'm just going to leave it at New York. And you're going to want to choose an Ubuntu 1604. Let me expand this so you can see it a little bit better. So you come here to the Ubuntu and choose the 1604 x64. And the server size, we're going to go with a $5 a month, which is a gigabyte of memory. You can try the 512 megabytes of memory. I don't know if it'll work with this. It could, but the first couple you do until you're comfortable with setting these things up, I suggest you just go with this 1 gigabyte of memory. It's enough, I know for sure, to run this. And you come down here. There's a couple other features you can add. One thing you might want to do is enable this auto backups. It's only $1 a month, and what that does is if this server goes down, you can restore it from a backup. That way you don't have to go through this whole process again to reset up this masternode. So that would be the one thing that I would think you could probably set up. You're not going to need these other options. This DDoS protection will protect you if somebody is attacking your masternode to block you from getting rewards. I've never had anyone do that, but if you start to notice that happens, you can enable this, but it's pretty spendy. So I haven't enabled this yet. I've never had that problem so far. The last piece you want to set up is you click your SSH key you want to relate to this server. And then here you're going to give the server a name, and I just give it the same name across the board. That way I know which one it is, the coin name, and then masternode 1, so I know which masternode it is. And then make sure you're going to deploy one server, $5 a month version. You can just hit deploy now. And then now you're going to see that it's set up this server, and there's a status here of installing. We're just going to give this a minute, let this get through until it actually finishes the install. This will take a couple minutes. I'm going to probably fast forward the video. So right now just sit back and we will be there in a second. Now it looks like the status has changed to running, and what you can do is you can click in the white space here, and it'll bring you to a screen with a little bit more information about your server. As long as you see this message here, usually that means it's to the point where you can connect to it. So what you want to do is now you open up Putty again. This time you're going to choose the actual Putty program itself. And this is where you're going to configure your connection. And what you want to do is you're going to want to copy this IP address. So you click that to copy it to your clipboard. You're going to paste it into this host name. And then you're going to come down here and you're going to set up, you're going to click the expand on SSH and then click the auth. And this is where you're going to set your RSA private key to connect to that server. So I saved that onto the desktop. And I'm going to scroll back up here to the session tab. And now I have the RSA key configured. I have the IP address. What I want to do is I'm going to save this session. And this is only if in the future I want to reconnect to this VPS server for whatever reason. I can just load up the configuration. I don't have to add IP and the private key. So I'm going to call this session just like I've been doing. Same name. And then hit save. And now it's saved here in our area. If I ever need to reopen this, you would highlight this, you hit load, and it loads that configuration. But right now we're ready. We're just going to hit open. And it's going to give you a warning about the server's host key. I know that this is a safe computer I'm connecting to, so I'm going to hit yes. If you're connecting to someone else's machine or something else, you might want to double check that this is really what you want to do. So now you get the login screen. And what you're going to do is log in as root, R-O-O-T, but you're going to see here that it's asking for a passphrase for your RSA key. It's not the password configured down here in your Vultr window. It is the password for this RSA key that you created. It's the passphrase that you created. So you're going to enter that passphrase here. And now you got to the prompt, and this means that your system is ready and waiting for you to enter commands. So that means I don't need this Putty generator window up anymore. I'm going to move this over to the side. And we're going to check out which commands we have to enter. It's going to be pretty quick and easy. It's listed here under Linux commands. So what you do is you highlight the command you want. You're going to copy it to your clipboard. And in Putty, the way you paste is you don't want to do any control commands in here in this Linux system. You just want to right-click one single time, and it automatically pastes it. You don't choose anything, and you don't hit Control-V to paste. You just right-click once. Once that's pasted in there, to run this command, you hit Enter. And all it did is downloaded the script that we're going to run, so it's really fast. Next command we're going to run is actually running that script. So come in here, right click once, hit enter, and now it's going to run through that script and set up this masternode for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back and I'm going to fast forward this, and you can watch what's happening, or you can fast forward the video until this step is finished. Now it is prompting you to enter your Solarium masternode genkey. We don't want to specify a key, we want to let the VPS wallet specify the key. So what we're going to do is just hit enter here. Don't enter anything at all, just hit the enter key on your keyboard. And that will tell it to use the masternode private key of the VPS wallet and not specify anyone from our wallet. And it looks like it has finished setting this up, and we can see that it has gone back to the prompt. That means it is finished running through that script, and this is telling us that this server is running, the daemon is running now on the server, and it's giving us the information we're going to need in the next step. So it looks like this VPS is all set up now, and what we're going to do is now move on to setting up the Windows wallet to connect to this VPS so it can tell it to run the masternode. So what you want to do is go back to your Windows wallet, and in the Windows wallet you're going to go to Tools, Open Masternode Configuration File, and in here you're going to need to enter some information, and I have a example here, masternode config contents, on the Windows wallet. So I would just highlight this, and we're going to step through what each of these pieces of information means. So you copy that and paste it here. Just ignore these other lines that are up here. This pound sign in front means it's a comment, so when it reads this, it ignores those. That's just to help you in case you didn't have this video. So the first piece of information we have here is called the alias. This is the alias of our masternode in our wallet. So if we were running, say, 5 or 6 masternodes, we would put a line for each masternode in this masternode file, and we'd give each one a different alias. It's just a friendly name for that masternode. So this is my first one. I'm just going to call it masternode 1. Now we need to know the VPS IP address, and that is listed here in the Putty window. And the way to copy information out of this window is you just highlight it. So you click and drag to highlight it, and then unclick, and it automatically copied it. You don't want to right click, you don't want to hit Control-V, you just highlight it, and it automatically copied it to the clipboard. So now we can come over here and paste it. That's our VPS IP. Leave the colon and leave the 5151. That's the port number this will be running on. And now we have that masternode gen key value, and we're going to use the value that the VPS daemon gave us, and it's right here listed as masternode gen key. So once again, left click and drag to highlight, and then let go of the left mouse button, and it automatically copied it. And then you can paste it here. And now we got 2 more values that we need, and these values are actually going to come from our Windows wallet. So let's move this out of the way so we can see what's going on. And these 2 pieces of information are gotten when you go to Tools, Debug Console, and on here you want to go to the Console tab, and then down here in the command area you want to type masternode outputs. And what that will give you is your transaction hash, which is, it's really the transaction ID of that collateral deposit you made, but we'll just call it transaction hash for here. So you highlight that and copy it, and then that is your masternode outputs transaction ID. It's also called transaction hash or transaction ID. It's just different terms for the same thing. And you want to paste that in there. And then we have out here masternode outputs 10 value. That's this output ID index value. And right here it's a 0. It's either going to be a 0 or a 1. And in my case it's a 0. So I'm going to replace this with just a plain old 0. And now our masternode config file looks good. We have the alias, the VPS IP address, port 5151, the masternode genkey value from our Putty window, and the transaction ID from our Windows wallet, and the transaction ID index from our Windows wallet. So this file looks good. We're going to hit File Save, File Exit, and we are done here in this debug console. So I'm going to close that out. And now before I reboot my wallet, so you're going to have to restart the wallet, your Windows wallet, so that way it will read that configuration file we just set up. Before I do that, I'm going to come back here onto the Transactions tab. I'm going to hover over that transaction and make sure I got 16 confirmations. I don't need the 16 right now, but I like to wait for our 16 before I restart the wallet. That way, once it loads it up, it has all 16 confirmations. We know we're good to start the masternode as soon as we boot the wallet back up. So we do have 17 confirmations. We're good to go. What we can do is just do a file exit, and then wait a second, and then we open the wallet back up, and it will read that configuration file. And before we go on to this masternodes tab to start our masternode, I like to wait until this section down here, which is synchronizing masternode data. I like to let this finish its synchronization. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit here and wait until this finishes. And I'm going to speed up the video a little bit because this could take a couple minutes. So we'll just sit back and relax. Alright, so it has finished synchronizing. What we can do now is we can come over here and go to our masternodes tab. And you can see now it has loaded an entry here based on our configuration file. And it has all that information we put in. And you can see it says missing, which is perfectly fine. That just means that the masternode has not been started yet. And what we can do is make sure we did enter the information right, is we can come back here and look in our Putty window, make sure we have the 108.61.157.207. That's the right address. We have the right address. Kind of minimize that. So what we can do now is we're ready to start this masternode. And to start this, you highlight it, and you can hit Start Alias, and that will start that masternode. And I forgot to unlock my wallet, which is perfectly fine. Just unlock your wallet now. And it started up the masternode. You hit OK. You're going to want to come here and hit Update Status. It says enabled, but I suspect that it might not be. Well, it looks like it is. So enabled means it's good. That means it is out there connected to the network. Give it a couple more updates. If it moved to something called pre-enabled, that means it's connecting out to the network and it's communicating, but it's not yet enabled. So if it says pre-enabled, just sit around and wait maybe 10 minutes to an hour or a couple hours and make sure it moves to enabled after that. If it hasn't moved for a couple hours, then you might want to go onto Discord and ask some people what's going on. But right now it looks like the masternode is set up and running, and it looks like we're good to go. So one thing I like to do a sort of a double check or a last check to make sure my masternode is really set up right is to check the masternode on the block explorer. And that will verify that your masternode is visible out on the network to everybody. So what you can do is you open up the block explorer. I have a link down in the comments. It's under block explorer, or you can go into the Discord channel and search for block explorer. And we will go to the block explorer. And here you can go to this masternodes tab. And on the masternodes tab, you're going to want to search for your IP address. This lists all the masternodes out on the network, and you can search the search box. You can search for your IP address. So the IP address of our masternode is 108.61.157. And you can see this is it, and it looks like it has not been paid yet, which is correct. Status is enabled. This is your collateral address. This is where coins will be showing up, and you can double check that that information is correct. Also called the pub key, SQF. So this looks like my masternode is visible on the network, and this is a really good indication that my masternode is up and running correctly. So this is great information, and that is good news. So now we are pretty sure that our masternode is set up correctly. What you're going to want to do is wait around to make sure you get your first, or wait around until you start getting rewards before you know for sure that this masternode is running. And the first reward sometimes takes a while. It could take 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours. I wouldn't be too concerned until maybe you've hit, at least 12 hours. If you've hit 12 hours and you think there might be something wrong, you can ping someone on the Discord channel and say, hey, I haven't gotten a reward yet. They might say to wait 24 hours, but you can check in on them after 12 hours, but I wouldn't be too concerned until at least 12 hours has gone by. Usually what I do is I'll set this up and then I will check it in the morning and make sure I've gotten a reward. And what you can do, what I like to do before I close this Putty window out, is I always wait for that first reward, because if you haven't gotten a reward after a certain number of hours, you can come into this Putty window and you can see there are some commands you can run. It tells you the commands here, or you can ask someone on the Discord channel. But I don't like to close this Putty window down until I've gotten my first rewards, just in case I need to come in here and run some commands. So just leave this window up. You can minimize it and you don't have to bother with it. Don't enter any commands in here. Don't hit any control buttons. But once you've gotten that first reward and you know that you don't need this Putty window up anymore, you can just hit the X button. Don't try to exit out by entering commands in here. You just want to hit the X button, and what that does is it closes that session, but all of those programs that are running are still running out on that VPS, which is your masternode, and that's what you want. You don't want to be stopping anything on that masternode. So we are all complete with our setup.